Namaskar, I am Jyotsna Sahai Anand. Today on September 22nd, 2022, I welcome you all to this special edition of Bureaucrats India webinar on preserving soil health and water in Punjab for sustainable agriculture. Bureaucrats India has been in the forefront of driving critical debates. We also bring to you stories of good governance from governments, PSUs, and corporate sectors. We have a panel of illustrious speakers on board for this special series on agriculture, for which the Nature Conservancy is our knowledge partner. I am pleased to welcome the very learned, admired, and accomplished Dr. Makhan Singh Bhullar, Principal Agronomist-cum-Head, Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana, who bring his illustrious career, has served in various capacities at the esteemed university. He has specialization in weed science and has done his research in development of integrated weed management approaches for field and horticultural crops and cropping systems in conventional and conservation agriculture. We are honored to have you here, sir, and eagerly await to hear from you. We are pleased to have with us District Collector Sangrur, Punjab, Mr. Jitendra Jorwal, a dynamic 2014 batch Punjab cadre officer. Mr. Kumar has previously served as Additional Principal Secretary to Chief Minister, Punjab. Under the guidance of Mr. Jorwal, Sangrur District Administration recently launched the Amrit Van campaign, dedicating it to the 75th year of the country's independence. Under the campaign, 75 acres of mini jungles will be planted in every rural block, making it a total of 600 acres in the entire district. Your experiences will be valuable today. We are pleased also to welcome a distinguished academic and scholar who comes with vast experiences in agriculture, Dr. Guru Koppa, Project Director, PRANA, TNC India. PRANA, or Promoting Regenerative and No-Burn Agriculture, is an ambitious 4-year project which aims for lowering emission by reducing crop residue burning. The project has already hit the ground in 12 districts of Punjab. Dr. Guru has steered, coordinated, and overseen several multidisciplinary projects from inception to completion that deal directly with policy formulation and seeking end-to-end solutions approach for building capacities in addition to deepening the organization's expertise. We have with us today Dr. B.B. Pattanaik, former CMD, Central Warehousing Corporation. Dr. B.B. Pattanaik carries with him professional experience of public sector management for about 40 years in the field of policy formulation and implementation in food and agriculture sectors, with a focus on agriculture value chain, warehousing, logistics, and supply chain management. He has widely traveled and has represented the Government of India in various committees and conferences abroad. He was also a Government of India nominee on the Society of Indian Institute of Management, Indore. I also take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Navneet Anand, Editor-in-Chief, Bureaucrats India, and Founder-Director of one of India's most respected communication consulting firms, Grey Matters Communications. I request Dr. Anand to please carry forward the conversation.
Thank you very much, Jyotsna. This is a powerhouse of knowledge, experience, and expertise, and I am so delighted to welcome you all to this special edition of Bureaucrats India webinar on Indian agriculture that we are doing in knowledge partnership with the Nature Conservancy. We are extremely honored to have a distinguished panelist. We just heard the introduction, and without taking any time, I would request Dr. Makhan Singh Bhullar, the very respected and admired, to please open this webinar with his remarks and observations on the topic. Since Dr. Bhullar has to leave for another meeting, he requested that if he can be the first speaker, and we are extremely honored to have you here, sir. Dr. Bhullar, please.
Should I start, sir?
Yes, sir, please start.
So good morning, everybody. So first, I thankful to Nature Conservancy to gave me this opportunity to interact with you. So I will be discussing with you something like soil and water health in Punjab. That what is the present situation, what we need to do. So first I will start with the water health. So when we talk about Punjab agriculture, it's sustainability. The major issue is groundwater. Water table is going down in many of the areas, especially if you look into the Malabar belt, Sangrur and Barnala. The water table is at a very critical stage. So now is the time. So we are to develop technologies. The technology that we are extracting less water from the ground and there is more recharge. So there is two ways. One is groundwater extraction is less and second is more recharge. We are putting more into the ground. So for this, we have different type of technologies. The most important thing is crop diversification. As we know, in Punjab, rice wheat is the major cropping system and rice is seen as a culprit. So first thing is we are to replace rice. So we have different options in Malabar belt. We have three major crops. There are minor crops where we can do, but three major crops. One is cotton in Malabar belt. Then maize, it can be grown almost through the state. And third one is basmati rice. So three major crops where we can diversify, where we can save the water. In basmati, there is no issue. In cotton is mostly, it's competitive with the this rice in terms of money. But in case of maize, there is a issue of marketing. So here we need to ensure this marketing and competitive. The profit margin of the farmer should not be less. So we have to make sure maybe during the initial stages of diversification, we need to support the farmers so that after this they will. So here is the support for marketing and some financial support. So their net profit remain the same as they were growing rice crop. So this is one option, the most important, because cotton, maize, basmati, they need significant less amount of water as compared to rice. So three major options we have. And second thing is, so first thing, it will be a slow process. And second thing is, we know we have very around 3.1 million hectare area under rice. So we cannot immediately skip to other crops. So second thing is diversification within the rice. While we are growing rice crop, we need to adopt the technologies which can save significant amount of water. So here is, if we say the most important, the prominent method of this rice cultivation is puddle transplanted rice. And there are opportunities that we can save significant amount of water with this puddle transplanted rice. The first thing is the short duration variety. If we can shift from long duration to short duration varieties, there is significant amount of water saving. There is 15 to 20% of water saving is there. So one thing is, a second thing is time of transplanting. As we delay the time of transplanting, if we say first there was 10th of June and now it's 20th of June, if we can further delay the time of transplanting to July, early July, especially with the short duration varieties, we can have significant amount of water saving. Third thing is the adoption of alternate wetting and drying, because generally what the farmer do, they go for continuous flooding of rice fields, which is not required. So we have recommended alternate wetting and drying of this transplanted rice. So by adopting these three main practices, one is short duration varieties, and second is delay the transplanting after 20th of June to early July. The third one is adoption of alternate this wetting and drying. In this way, even in case of transplanted rice, significant amount of water saving is there. So this is one thing while we're going for transplanted rice. And second is where we can save the water is direct sowing of rice. We are going for direct sowing of rice, and there is 15 to 20% water saving. So in direct seeding, we have two methods. One is dry sowing, where there were earlier recommendation, and now the university has given new recommendation in 2020, that is Tarvatar direct seed rice, where we are going for first pre-sowing irrigation, then we are sowing rice. There is a special requirement. There is lucky seed drill designed and developed by the university. And here the first post-sowing irrigation we are giving at around 21 days after sowing. So there is significant water saving. So in DSR also, we have shifted from dry sowing to Tarvatar direct seeding of rice, where there are many advantages. One is there is higher water saving. As we are raising rice crop, as we are raising other crops, maize, wheat crop. To wheat also, we say first post-sowing irrigation, we have to give at 21 days after sowing. Similarly, in this method to rice also, we are giving first post-sowing irrigation at 21 days after sowing. When we are delaying the first irrigation, there is more root development. So plant become more stronger. It's able to cope with the stresses, whether it's moisture stress, whether it's a nutrient stress, and there is very less infestation of weeds. In dry sowing, there was a high infestation of weeds, and farmer had to go for more application of herbicide, which enhance this cost of production. So here in this method, there is very less infestation of weeds. And second thing is in dry sowing, there was more problem of iron deficiency. And here we have very less iron deficiency. So whatever the weaknesses of we have dry sowing, we have removed this in case of Tarvatar sowing. So there is, so one is within transplanted rice, we can go for water saving technology. And second is DSR. But here one thing is very important. When we ask any farmer to shift from transplanted to direct seed rice, the shifting must be a slow process. During the first year, he go for 1 acre. In the second year, he may go for 2 acre. After this, he can go for maybe 10 acre, 20 acre. The skill development is very important here. There should not be abrupt shifting. We cannot say that first year the farmer who is expert in this transplanting, that first year he shift to 10 acre DSR, 20 acre DSR. So we have to be very careful, and we have to give more time on skill development. Just like this webinar, this is sort of skill development. So in DSR, our major stress is on skill development of the farmer. So within 2 years, they are become fully skilled in the new technology, and then there is no issue of a failure. So during the first 2 years, their learning year for the farmer, to any farmer, you will ask for shifting to DSR. You start from 1 or 2 acre, not more than that. For the first 2 years, they are a learning year, they are year of skill development. If first year you ask the farmer to go for DSR 5 acre, 10 acre, maybe he had to plow up. And he will say that there is issue with the technology. But the issue is skill development. So that is why we say go very slowly. And the farmers have been adopting DSR for the last 5 years, 10 years. They have increased the area. So now it's a viable technology. And third is we have made a new recommendation for further saving in irrigation water. We have recommended bed sowing of DSR. Direct seeding we can sow on the beds, as we sow maize on the bed, as we sow wheat on the bed. Similarly, this year we have made another recommendation that even direct seeding we can do on the beds. We go for pre-sowing irrigation, make the beds, give in the moisture, sufficient soil moisture. We have bed planter. We do the 2 rows of rice on the beds. And here also first irrigation we delay up to 3 weeks. And there is further saving of 8% of water. So these are the major technologies for water saving. Number one is crop diversification. We have to change the crop which have low water requirement, but at the same time we have to make the surety of marketing and compensate the farmer during the initial year. And second is, while growing rice, we are to adopt the technologies. In transplanted rice, just I repeat, one is the short duration variety, that is the most important. Any technology must be integrated with the short duration variety. Just like long duration variety, they have 160 days. And short duration variety, we have here 126, it's only 125 days. So we can say 30 to 35 days less duration. So second is, third is late transplanting. The short duration varieties give best yield when transplanting is done on, we can say, early July. So then alternate wetting and drying. So these are the technologies which we can adopt in transplanted rice. And second is, we go for DSR, but shift to DSR must be integrated with skill development, human resource skill development of the farmer very slowly, first 1 acre, then 2 acre, then the third year onward, 5, 10, 20, any acre farmer can go. So here we must be very careful. And here also we have further refined the technology with bed DSR. We can sow DSR on the beds. So then this is about, we can say, the water saving technologies. And now the burning issue that is coming up with paddy residue management. So this is now, I think for the next 2 months, it will be the burning issue for the government also, for the university also, for NGOs, for department also. So when we talk, we have around, we can say 20 million ton of this paddy residue. How to manage this residue? There are two ways. One is in situ. We have to keep the residue in the field, and second is ex situ. Move the residue out of the field. Moving is very easy, we can say, but there are some issues. But our research trial indicate, we have long-term research trial. Our research trial indicate that residue, paddy residue, they are a farm yard manure. They are organic manure. Paddy residue must remain in the field. Agar long-term trial indicate that when we keep the residue in the field, whether we keep on the surface or whether we incorporate, there is significant increase in organic, this carbon. Our organic carbon has increased from 0.35 to 0.75. That is, we can say, in the high range. Organic carbon is the soil health, soil productivity. So that is very important. So from soil health point of view, we say the residue must remain in the field. So when there is an increase in the organic carbon, there is an increase in the productivity. There is an increase in the rice productivity also. There is an increase in wheat productivity also. We have seen that after 3 years, there is 2 quintal per acre wheat productivity higher and 2 quintal per acre rice productivity is higher. Because organic carbon has increased. One thing, and second is the bulk density decreased. मीन वो बोलते हैं जमीन बहुत पोली हो जाती है, उसमें जो सूक्ष्म जीव हैं, गंडोए हैं, वो इतने आ जाते हैं कि वो डिकम्पोजिशन उसकी वो खुद ही कर देते हैं. So one is, first thing is that we are to keep the residue in the field. It is very essential. It is we can say देसी खाद है, रूढ़ी की खाद है. रेजिड्यू को हमारे सर्च ट्रायल ये करते हैं, हम सब प्लेटफॉर्म पर बोलते हैं कि जो पराली है इसे खेत से बाहर नहीं लेके जाना. ये आपकी खाद है, सॉइल हेल्थ. अगर आप पराली को बाहर लेकर जा रहे हो, आप सॉइल की हेल्थ है खेत की, उसको बाहर ले आओ, आपकी वीक हो जाएगी. और फार्मर बताते हैं. और अनदर रिकमेंडेशन हमने दी है कि जहां हम 3 साल से लगातार 3 साल से पराली खेत में रखी है, उसमें हम वीट को वी कैन रिड्यूस द यूरिया डोज बाय 20 kg. तो अगर 3 साल हमने पराली खेत में रखी,
I think we are facing some issue with connectivity, Vigya.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I guess
All right.
it is from Bhullar
Yes,
side.
from the other
Yeah.
side. You're
Yeah.
watching a special edition of Bureaucrats India webinar on preserving soil health and water in Punjab for sustainable agriculture. We all know how rich Punjab is, but there have been problems which we are so happy to be contributing briefly in a way by way of bringing this discourse. So we have now, so we shall wait. Sir's Honorable DM has to have a meeting, and that is why he's requested if he can be freed. But before I request Sri Jitendra Jorwal ji to come, I'll request Dr. Guru Koppa to very briefly touch upon the PRANA project so that Jitendra ji also knows about it, is aware. Of course, PAUs, you're working also with PAU. And the experts like Dr. Pattanaik. But Guru sir, if you can very briefly touch upon, then we can come on later after Jorwal ji has spoken. You are on mute, sir. Guru sir, you are on mute, sir.
Hello.
जी अब बोलिए सर, आ रही है आवाज.
So thank you, Navneet ji. And just for the general audience, TNC has recently launched very big, complex, and very ambitious project on crop residue management. So this project is called as PRANA, promoting regenerative and noble agriculture. And this is for 3 years. We have launched it on June 1st formally. And this year we are conducting in 2 different approaches. One in 2 districts of Moga and Patiala on a very high intensity basis, wherein we are going to work closely with 5,000 farmers. We are incentivizing all these 5,000 farmers in terms of payment for adopting CRM machinery, whether it's a happy seeder or super seeder, for adopting noble agriculture practices. And also we'll be working closely with them for next 6-7 months, not necessarily only this burning window, till harvesting of wheat also will be working with them. Apart from this, also we are going to work in 10 districts, wherein we have selected 160 villages in each of these 10 districts, total 1,600 villages, wherein we are launching a lot of behavioral change activities, demos. Every 3 villages we are conducting one demo. And the idea is to bring in a behavioral change among these farmers and also incentivize in terms of awards. Apart from the farmers, also we're going to work with schools as part of the school awareness programs. Nukkats also we're trying to do it. And also there will be a lot of training programs with the help of Punjab Agriculture University and KVKs, where we have literally agreed to have an MOU with the Punjab Agriculture University. And also we are making an effort to bring some of the latest technology from the PAU to the doorsteps of the farmers, especially to encourage them to adopt noble agricultural practices. So the idea is to have this regenerative agriculture. Our focus is on one is improving soil health, bringing in biodiversity, and also saving 500 billion liters of water. Because next year also we're going to increase this project to 18 districts, from 10 districts to 18 districts, taking learnings from this first year. And the number of farmers will be covering in the first year, it is 150,000 farmers in 1,600 villages. Next year, it will be 4.5 lakh. And third year, it will be 7.5 lakh plus farmers and 9,000 villages in the third year. So I stop here for any questions, and maybe Jitendra ji, this will be also for your kind attention that will be working, as Navneet ji also mentioned that we are launching campaign to all the villages. 4 times would like to go there. Just campaign on this noble agriculture practices. So we'll be very happy if we can grace the occasion on the day when we inaugurate this campaign at your districts, and ideally it would be at your office. From there, we'll move on to the villages in your district. I stop here, Navneet ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And now, Jitendra ji, I have been a journalist before doing other things, including Bureaucrats India. I have worked with the Indian Express, the Times of India, and Pioneer, and I have covered various projects. To me, this PRANA project is especially significant because it is going to the grassroots, reaching out to the farmers, trying to bring about behavior change through a slew of activities. At the same time, also introduce technology where we have the grace and guidance of likes of Dr. Bhullar. Dr. Bhullar, Honorable DC has to have a meeting, and that is why he requested. You got briefly disconnected, so we'll kindly listen to Jitendra ji, and then we'll bring you back, sir.
Okay.
Dr. Bhullar. Jitendra ji, over to you.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, everyone. First of all, Dr. Guru, I accept your this invitation that I need to flag off the initiative, as and when we will discuss over the timings and the dates. But there's a very noble initiative. We are also working towards it. In fact, IOCL has also come up to us with some of the CSR activities that they would be like to do in with respect to stubble burning. And we have also said that, instead of that routine sort of awareness activities and all, we should really invest in technology and side by side making people aware as to how to use this technology. Merely saying that aag na lagao is not efficient and effective enough to be precise. One has to be the lab has to be taken into the field if we really want to control the menace of this stubble burning. And also to tell the farmers, ultimately, farmer understands one thing only, economics of it. Ki mere ko kya milega. This is what if we talk in Punjabi, te jatta ye kehanda hai ji mere palle ki hai. So, and Dr. Bhullar will also agree with me, and again, in this regard, that ultimately what economics which has to come and play around, so that this not burning the stubble is more viable than, is not viable, rather than, storing it for 3 years to decrease the urea intake and to decrease our other chemical fertilizers, so on and so forth. That has to be done. So to begin with, first of all, Dr. Navneet, as you had briefly mentioned about Amrit 1 project, that we are going ahead in Sangrur with it. So that I'll just touch briefly on it. When we went to the school in district Sangrur, I just put one simple question to the students ki kitno ne yahan pe jangal dekha hai. So that was a class of, if I am not wrong, it was around 64 students which were there, and they were from 10th, 11th, 12th classes. And only 4 of them raised their hands and they said how unhone sahi mein jangal dekha hai, but jangal padha sabne. So from there, the idea that we should have forests in the villages. There are lots of abundant panchayat lands which are available, and there are certain, and when we started our project, many of the private people also, they came forward and they said ki hamare yahan bhi jangal lagao. So it is very different from routine plantation. Plantation mein to hum aaye, humne 4 boote lagaye, 100 boote lagaye, 1000 boote lagaye, uske baad hum chale jate hain. But forestation, it is afforestation, it is not plantation. So we are creating a forest whereby the panchayat will earn the income out of those forests. There are fruit-bearing trees like amla, like oranges, neem, kikar, and all, and 76 traditional varieties that we have taken into the account, along with the various pathways ki jahan par log aaye, and it becomes a fulcrum of activity. Wo jangal jo hai, jahan se ultimately unko remuneration bhi mile. As on date, we have crossed 300 acres, and our target is to complete 600 acres, and we are on it. And we will be completing it by 1 or 1.5 months. So having stated that, just to touch upon that, Punjab has around 85% of the geographical area under agriculture. And the cropping intensity is probably one of the highest in Punjab, which is 184. And the usage of the groundwater, it is the maximum over here. So 1 kg of rice, it takes around 3000 liters of water, if I'm not wrong, and 1 kg of wheat, it takes around 1350 liter of water. So that is the amount, that is the quantum of water that is required to produce even 1 kg of crop. And we are stuck in this rice and wheat cropping system, mostly because at that time that was the need of the hour for the country, that one has to become the rice bowl and the wheat bowl of the country, and we fed the country, the starving population at that time. So what the problem, so I'll just touch few of the problems and what I think might be the solution, rather than going in the most of technicality, what the generalized thing could be. that there had been in the past some sort of lack of effective policies as to one has to give on the other crops, for example, minimum support prices on other crops. So now government of Punjab has started that on the moong. So that thing has also went down with the farmers, that, you know, now the government has started giving MSP on moong also. So now this time from the next year, we are very hopeful, because lots of queries are coming to our offices, and people are visiting to us that how to go for the plantation of the moong and move away from the traditional these rice and wheat cropping systems. In fact, we are also in Sangrur district, Sangrur, we are also going ahead with the model farms. In the model farms, we are cultivating sarson this time. So on 300 acres, the farmers have voluntarily donated, and they have registered with us कि हमारे यहाँ पे आप सरसों लगाइए. We will not be cultivating wheat this time. So we had a seminar, and they're voluntary coming. We have our agriculture officers also, and we have taken some of the experts from Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh who are going into the field, and they are teaching farmers that how to go about it. Second, we really need to revamp our infrastructure, and we need to plug infrastructure inefficiencies, and maybe with the help of some private investments in agriculture infrastructures. So that basic infrastructure, the connectivity issues, the marketing issues, they have to be addressed by a proper public-private partnership, so that the farmers and the produce that is coming to the mandis and all, that is being adequately taken care of, and it is adequately linked to the market. Secondly, we need to have big, large storage facilities for alternative crops, primarily for perishable commodities like fruits and vegetables. So that Invest Punjab is already working on it, but we need to really come forward, and we need to attract the investments in this regard also. Of course, there is a lack of comparable demand, and easy marketability is, of course, there for wheat and paddy. That has to be by the awareness activities only, how to switch to the different crops. For example, sarson, which is fetching much higher prices. It has MSP more than 5,000 rupees, but in the market, it is fetching 7,000 to 7,500 rupees. So that sort of has to be done. And secondly, if we look at the numbers from the Department of Agriculture, then we can say that we have good number of happy seeders, we good number of SMS, we have good numbers of other machineries also. But the point that one has to really look that all this machinery has to be used within that 30 days of the managing of straw, paddy straw that time. Demand एक टाइम पे ही इतनी ज्यादा है और उसी टाइम पे सबको वो मशीनरी चाहिए. And the problem becomes complex when we know that there are small land holdings in Punjab, and majority of the farmers have less than 5 acres and 2.5 acres of land. So due to this fragmented land, the use of these technologies at that opportune time, it is also one has to rationalize the use of machinery and also the available labor force. One issue that comes up with the farmer is that they say that when they use these machineries, then they also have to bear the cost of petrol, diesel, the oil, the machinery cost and all. So one has to really figure out 50 paise ki machis ya fir 1000 se 1200 rupees per acre ka diesel. So that sort of incentivizing farmer to get those 1,000-1,200 rupees, that also needs to work out so that the farmer is motivated not to burn the straw by using the 50% match rate. So a few of the optimal solutions can be that we can go for less water intensive crops, and we need to mandate PPP, public-private procurement on stipulated prices, whereby the government pitches in that none of the product will be sold below MSP. We also need to go for agroclimatic zone, based on the agroclimatic zones, the best crop suited for the Punjab. And we need to go for regional cropping system, maybe involving of NGOs and cooperative societies will be better in this regard, and ensuring credit availability at a minimum rate for crop diversification. And it has to be ensured that the loan which is given for crop diversification is actually used for crop diversification, is not used for any other purposes. Then we really need to promote subsidized micro irrigation system, so that in the water stressed regions, specifically Sangrur, Barnala region, the water table has gone so low that few of the motors, they are operating at 400 feet. That is the scale of the groundwater which has gone down in this Malwa area of Punjab. And earlier when we used to, and when we interact with many of the farmers who are around 60, 65 years of age, they say that when they were young, then when they started farming, they used to get water at 12, 15 feet or 20 feet. And now it has gone 400 feet. So this is a matter of serious concern. And as rightly highlighted by Dr. Navneet and Dr. Guru also, that we really need to promote extensive training and extensive awareness campaign among farmers on crop diversification. And we really need to take the labs of PAU to the field so that the experiments are really turned into the reality. And we need to identify and strengthen what are the supply chains and value chains, so that we really need to create a market for alternative crops. Now, everybody is post-COVID are more inclined towards healthy foods, organic food. So that can be a niche area where Punjab can really pitch in at the earliest, because we have that history, that Punjabi entrepreneurship, they have this history that they are the most innovative and they really take a bull by horns when it is really imbibed into them. And final and foremost, in situ management and ex situ management, these are two techniques as rightly highlighted by Dr. Bhullar. For ex situ management, we really need to promote Government of India, with the cooperation of Government of India and Government of Punjab. They really need to come up with some lucrative policies with respect to establishment of the plants which use paddy straw as the biomass. So the main challenge is to how to collect that paddy at that point of time, and the storage of the bales at the plants. Now, Verbio has inaugurated their plant. They have started, their plant has started functioning in the Lehra area of district Sangrur. But they are also highlighting these challenges that right now they are only working at 40% of the capacity, and slowly they are tying up with the farmers, whereby they are sending their own vehicles and they're collecting the bales, and they are getting it and storing it in their unit only, and then they are producing the biomass. So that sort of technology, maybe some low cost plants wherein the government can give capital subsidy to begin with, so that these technology and these plants can be diversified at an optimal rate. And of course, these have to be distributed throughout the Punjab. Not one area can have more number of such boilers or such sort of biogas plants. Otherwise, the transportation cost will come into the effect. So these are the broader areas and broader contours which I had wanted to touch. And I really thank you for giving me this opportunity, so I can hear some good ideas and I can impact the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jorwal. That was music to ears, and it is because we want to bring stories like yours that Bureaucrats India was created, and I'm so glad that we are getting the honor to listen to you. Vigya and other editorial team members of Bureaucrats India are here, and I'll request them to please run this as the lead story. Get few more details from Mr. Jorwal. Wonderful, and congratulations on this wonderful project. I'm sure each one of us has a duty to contribute in your endeavor. Now we request Dr. Bhullar to please continue from where you got disconnected, sir.
Thank you, sir. There was some problem in the network in the university, so everybody was better. So we were talking about in situ residue management, as Mr. Jorwal has pointed out. So there are a few things that we need to take care. In situ management is either with a happy seeder or with a super seeder or any incorporation machinery. But there are a few things that we need to take care of. So when we are to sow with a happy seeder or with a super seeder, there must be sufficient moisture in the soil. Sometimes farmer go for moisture is less and there is problem in the germination and emergence. So there are a few things that need to be taken care of. There should be sufficient moisture in the soil. Second is we need to prefer the bold seeded varieties, like we have 1869 variety or some other variety that have early emergence. And third thing that many farmers take lightly is seed treatment with fungicide and insecticide. That is very, very important. Any in situ residue management field, the seed must be treated with insecticide and fungicide before sowing with this, whether it's happy seeder, whether with super seeder, whether with the roto seeder. So these things we need to take into account. And we are, the university, we are very close to an advanced stage of a new technology that is, as our Honorable Mr. Jorwal has pointed out, low cost, which is very low cost, which is viable and effective technology. We are very in the advanced stage that will be helpful in this residue management. So these are the few things that I want to discuss with you. If there is any query or any question, then I will be happy to respond.
I'm sure there will be
thank
questions,
you.
sir. Thank you so much for your precious inputs and guidance, and those are really invaluable. And we so much admire Punjab Agricultural University for all that is being done, and we know that it is people like you who are driving and making agriculture so robust in Punjab. We'll, as they say, we'll keep the best for the last. Dr. Pattanaik, before we come to you, I'll request Dr. Koppa to please continue with the remaining part of his presentation.
Navneet, I think, for me, just I had to explain about this project. There is nothing much, but however,
All right.
if there are any questions, you can take up.
All right, sir. Now I request the very distinguished and very experienced Dr. Pattanaik to share his thoughts on this subject and his guidelines as to the future of agriculture in Punjab. Dr. Pattanaik, over to you, please.
Thank you, Navneet ji, and your team in the Bureaucrats India. Thank you very much for bringing out this digital issue of Bureaucrats India on a very, very vital and topical subject like preserving soil and water health in Punjab for a sustainable agriculture. It's a pleasure joining me on this webinar along with very learned Dr. Bhullar from the PAU, Mr. Jorwal, the young bureaucrat, DC San Group, Dr. Guru Koppa, and all of you. In fact, after speaking after Mr. Bhullar, Dr. Bhullar, and Mr. Jorwal, I have nothing much to say. I'll restrict my talk in next 5-7 minutes, but I must highlight the contribution of Punjab in the green revolution and more particularly the food security of the country. Because of the hard-working farmers of Punjab, supported by the technology, the high-yielding varieties, the dwarf Mexican wheat varieties, and various technology brought out by the scientists of PAU, and taken to the full field like bureaucrats, senior bureaucrats, young bureaucrats like Mr. Jorwal. Punjab has really taken a lead in the agriculture production and productivity, more particularly in rice and wheat, and has shown the path how the agriculture should be done on a commercial basis. It has also shown how agriculture should be done with mechanization, with input management, and post-harvest management. I must highlight the post-harvest management system here, because unless there is a marketability or there is a market for the produce, farmers should not be enthused to grow the crops. And if you go, I have been traveling across Punjab since 1998. I came to the Department of Food and was in charge of the quality of the procurement of food grains, rice and wheat particularly. I've traveled extensively in all the districts of Punjab, and I've seen the post-harvest management system that has been the Mandi system. And many of the states of the country are yet to emulate the infrastructure that is available in Punjab with regard to post-harvest management, the Mandi, the art, the value addition facility, the green cleaning machines, etc., that is available. Today, with just 1.5% of the area of the country, Punjab produces around 45% of wheat and about 30% of rice. That's to be acknowledged. But this continuous rice and wheat crop rotation is having the ill effect, the side effects of the soil and water management, the health aspects. And yes, the minimum guarantees, minimum support price, the price guarantee price support of the government of India, very effectively implemented in the state of Punjab. I must say that. The MSP system in rice and wheat has been very effectively implemented in the state of Punjab because of the political leadership and the bureaucratic support, bureaucratic architecture, which is perhaps lacking in many states. Of course, states are now coming up and so the production and productivity went up substantially in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. At that time, Punjab was required to produce more of rice and wheat. But subsequently, Punjab was, if I talk of rice, Punjab was feeding half of India, while Andhra was feeding the southern part of India, the Tamil Nadu and Kerala, which are not so, they're not so rice surplus. But whereas Punjab was feeding the northeast, the West Bengal, Orissa, etc., as the rice is concerned. But today, fortunately, because of various schemes of the government of India and the state governments, states like Orissa, the Chhattisgarh, West Bengal have become rice surplus. So therefore, we know rice and wheat are two water guzzlers in the crop. So therefore, the need of the hour is to diversify the crop. The governments, both the state and center, have been talking. We have been discussing in the academia, etc., etc. But I think nothing much is being done with regard reducing the rice cultivation is concerned. Dr. Bhullar mentioned about alternate crops or crops alternate to rice, more particularly in the Kharif season. We don't want to toss the basmati and all that. Let that, because they are high value crops, let that continue. If I just share some data, how the rice cultivation in the the cropping pattern as a percent of the gross cropped area. In 70-71, rice used to occupy only 6.9%. And the data of 11-12, I'll say, it went up to 35%. Wheat in 70-71, 40%, and because that is continuing at 40-45% and we cannot avoid cultivating wheat because the large part of the country still needs wheat to be produced by Punjab. Yes, there are other wheat producing states like Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, etc. But half of India which cannot grow wheat, look upon to the wheat of Punjab. Look at other crops which have been drastically reduced over, say, in 30-40 years period. Maize in 70-71 used to be 9.8%. In 11-12, it is 1.6%. Bajra is 3.7%. It's just 0.04%. Total pulses in 70-71 was 7.3%. And today, it's much lesser than 1%. We need more of pulses. Dr. Bhullar mentioned about green gram. But green gram will come in the Rabi season, or maybe a part of it. We need smaller duration crops, etc. But there are other pulses which can be grown successfully in the Kharif crops, like toot. And India imports a lot of toots from small countries like Myanmar, etc. And similarly, in oil seeds, one of the prominent oil seeds which can take some place of rice in the Kharif season is sunflower. We have excellent hybrids of sunflower available. Today, because of the Ukraine war and all that, these sunflower oil prices are skyrocketing. And there is a good area in Punjab which can be converted from Kharif paddy to alternate crops. Maize, as Dr. Bhullar mentioned about it, and there is so much of wide applicability of maize, from feed to starch making to biofuel, etc., etc. And prices are always well above, market price is always well above the MSP declared by the government. Okay, if there is prices falling, government should support definitely with their MSP schemes and all that. We have organizations like FCI for rice, wheat, cereals, etc. We have organizations like NAFED, Punjab Market is an efficient cooperative institution to support in case of oilseed and pulses. I think that is required. And because of this rice, wheat crop rotation and excessive water exploitation of the groundwater, the productivity is also stagnating. The soil health is getting affected because of the groundwater. Dr. Jorwal mentioned about it. Today, I have some data about how the source-wise irrigation in 70-71, the canal irrigation used to be 45% of the cultivated area, and today, I mean, it's less than 25% because the cultivated area has increased, the canal has not, system has not increased. But conversely, the tube well, irrigation through tube well or, your is 55% in 70-71, and now it has gone to 72%, 75%. And the water table is reducing, as per some data, almost 55 centimeters per year. So how there is necessity to check this. I think two other things also I will bring about the soil and water health aspect is the excessive application of chemical fertilizer. Because, when you go to rice, and obviously people look for more production, and nitrogenous fertilizer like urea comes very handy. And there are enough data how in last 50 years, I must say, the total fertilizer consumption in Punjab has gone up by 10 times, and total nitrogenous fertilizer has gone up by almost 10 times. So that is how it's done. Can something be done to reduce the chemical fertilizer by going for alternate methods like organic manure, etc. That's the application of pesticides is also affecting the soil health and health of the water and the environment. And we know Malwa is considered, 11 districts of Punjab which comprise Malwa region is the pesticide capital. Almost 75% the pesticide consumption in Punjab is done in those districts of 11 districts of Punjab. Yes, those districts also grow cotton. And maybe one of the regions of excessive fertilizer application, their pesticide application is maybe because of cotton cultivation there and all that. So can there be other crops which will require less of pesticide application? That can also be is a matter to be debated, and alternate methods to be found out. So, on that, for the pesticide consumption, I have one that in 80-81, 3,200 metric ton of technical pesticide matter was utilized in Punjab, whereas in 13-14 it went up to double, 6,500 tons of technical pesticide material. So, alternate pesticide, biopesticide, biofertilizers, crops. So the other crops which should be promoted is the high value crop is your fruits and vegetables. Yes, there are some fruits like etc. are extensively cultivated, but vegetables under protected cultivation, set net cultivation, more area and under spring micro irrigation facilities are required at the day, ultimately to, yes, shifting from rice wheat rotation to bring more of legumes crops, both in Kharif and Rabi. Legumes add fertility to the soil, nitrogen fixation takes place there, legumes. And there, we also need to have more protein in the basket, produce more proteinous crop like legumes, biopesticides, biofertilizers, less of water consuming crops, and within the same crop, like Dr. Bhullar mentioned, less duration varieties, 115-20 days variety will consume less of water. And more post-harvest management infrastructure for fruits and vegetables are need for the hour. I think government of Punjab and the farmers of Punjab are doing an excellent job. They are they need to be more, I must say that there need to be more hand-holding, policy, what do you call, support, in term, long-term policy support, not to be, to be stopped overnight or abruptly, etc. Long-term policy support with regard to price, export potential, many crops that we are proposing are export markets. But then unless you have a long-term export policy, people will be high and light. Today, many of the rice exporters are crying because abruptly they, Punjab, which is full of rice millers, they also segregate the rice brokens, and suddenly the brokens have been exported. So what I mean to say, long-term policy in respect to export and other things are need to be our friends. There are, I think we have organizations like Bureaucrats India doing a wonderful job in dissemination of the knowledge, information. It's the and both. I think farmers of Punjab are hungry to accept technology. They are hungry to accept information, and they will make best use of information that is to their advantage. As Mr. Jorwal said, ultimately they want what is the benefit. So that's there. I mean, at the moment, I will stop here. In case there is anything further, I will. I must thank Navneet ji for giving me a platform to share my views and thoughts on this very, very important subject of soil and water health, which is very, very critical and vital for sustainability.
Thank you very much, sir. Extremely interesting insights that you gave, and some food for thought for all of us in the business of propagating such great ideas into the public domain. And you're watching a special webinar on Bureaucrats India today, September 22, 2022. And we have with us an illustrious panelists who have shared their experiences on how to preserve soil health and water in Punjab for sustainable agriculture. You are also watching us on Facebook. Please follow us on our Twitter handle, which goes by the name of Bureaucrats IND. We have another Twitter handle called DCs of India, where we bring stories of good governance. Before we conclude, of course, we have some questions coming in on my personal handle, also on Facebook. But I would request that the questions be focused on this topic only. Mr. Jorwal has left, so of course we'll have. But there is a question on which Dr. Guru has already answered. There is a question, Guru sir, on organic farming. Maybe Dr. Bhullar can answer it. Organic farming is an important option to adopt to address many pressing agriculture issues of Punjab, but farmers are not coming forward. What is the way out? Dr. Bhullar? Dr. Pattanaik, would you like to take this question?
Yeah. A practicing agronomist like Dr. Bhullar would have been most appropriate to answer this question. But let me tell you, organic farming is also a need to reduce the chemical application because of the ill effects of chemical. Because we also find not only the chemical fertilizer and the chemical pesticides, not only they affect and impact the soil health, the water health, but are also found in the food chain, in the food material itself. And those have a long-term health effects. I know I was mentioning about the districts, the Malwa region of Punjab, which consumes almost 75% of the pesticides. And some of the research studies have shown that, incidentally, those 11 districts are very unfamously called as the cancer capital of Punjab. because of the excessive use of pesticides and affecting the soil health, the water health, and the found in the food chain, and carcinogenic effect in the human body. And many times, some research data have also shown that this have less mental development of something of that sort. So, to reduce the application of chemical fertilizer and pesticides, what is the alternative? We need to grow crop. So, instead of that, use organic manure, use organic pesticides. And yes, suddenly we find, the chemical fertilizer gives higher productivity than the crop that are grown with organic fertilizer or organic pesticides. Therefore, we need to also have, and of course, in the market, they fetch a premium because people are also becoming health conscious. They want to have any or any food articles without any presence of any chemical particles and all. So the only thing is it has to be organic from beginning to the end. This from the soil to seed to the seed organically grown, crop organically cultivated, and then organically handled, stored also without any application of chemical pesticides, etc., like neem-based dungs and all that, and finally a certification that is there. But unfortunately, although many times questions are raised in India about the organic certification mechanism, I will not give my judgment there. But yes, the organic value chain needs to be certified. And it should start with no usage of chemical fertilizer. But unfortunately, Sri Lanka is a very classic case. We have seen the entire productivity came down because Sri Lanka suddenly stopped. So we cannot say that yes, farmers don't use any chemical. But how can it be done gradual, and whether there are alternate biopesticide, biofertilizers in adequate quantity and in affordable cost being made available to the farmer before we tell them to go for organic.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I have a question for Dr. Guru Koppa. How is PRANA addressing the need for soil health and water conservation? You're on mute, sir. You are on mute, sir.
Thank you, Navneet. I think, as PRANA, the name itself indicates, promoting regenerative and no-burn agriculture. And ideally, we are addressing the issue of no burning issue through improving the soil health. So when this straw is managed in situ, in the field itself, retaining that straw in the field, that also will enhance the organic carbon in the long run. This is very challenging task for anybody who is implementing, whether it's a TNC or some other agricultural extension agencies, including Department of Agriculture, to convince the farmers that this buildup of organic carbon is a slow process. And if farmers continuously do the practices of no-burn agriculture practices, then there will be a buildup of organic carbon, and that will benefit the farmers in a sustainable way. So we have to showcase how this buildup in the organic carbon is going to help the farmers in the long run, not only improving the soil health, but also increasing their income, which is priority for the farmers.
So there is a question for yes, sir. Sorry. There's a question for Jitendra ji, but because he had to go for a meeting, which you can also take, sir. How difficult it is to bring about behavior shift among the farmers? You can give some examples of how PRANA may be doing it. You have briefly touched upon it, but you can again sir, highlight.
Yeah, thank you, Navneet. Of course, this bringing behavioral change is very difficult task because it's a slow process. No, we can bring in some new technology just to ask them to do it. But when it comes to the institutions like, culture, habits, practices, always changing these kind of, norms and informal institutions is a slow process. It takes years. And it's not just about, automatically farmers will change behavior. Somebody has to work with farmers closely, understand their issues and, trying to address. bringing in behavioral change, in line with their interest is very critical. So that is where we have to put efforts. That's why now PRANA is going to put an effort in terms of engagement with these farmers on continuous basis, long-term basis, working with them, develop relationship. It's not something, just commercially, we are not promoting any product, but ideally what we have to convey to them that if you change, it will be better for you. Such kind of things, definitely it's a slow process, but we can do it.
I compliment the Nature Conservancy for having launched this wonderful program. Nature Conservancy, the Nature Conservancy is our knowledge partner in this series of webinars, and we must tell about the Nature Conservancy, which is a leading conservation organization working to make positive impact around the world in more than 76 countries. Founded in 1951, TNC's mission is to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends. With their core values of integrity beyond reproach, respect for people, communities, and culture, and commitment to diversity, TNC aims at environmental conservation through lasting, tangible results. Pattanaik sir, one last word from you before I request Vigya to propose a vote of thanks.
Navneet, I would only say that organizations involved are doing a great job. I am also associated, I studied agriculture and my education, did my master's in entomology from BHU, and have remained in the food and agriculture sector for the last 40 years. So I'm a bit passionate about agriculture, maybe from Punjab, because it's the most success story, and or maybe in the poor, small marginal farmers of my own state of Orissa, which used to be often projected as the hunger hotspot those days. Today, of course, Orissa has also come out as a rice surplus states. So developments are taking place, governments are working, farmers are, as I said, are hungry. But we must also say, yes, whatever technology we tell them, it has to be cost effective, low cost technology, and giving the maximum benefit to them. Cost benefit ratio. The farmers, as I said, they have now become a businessman. Farmers look at agriculture as a business proposition. Gone are those days when a farmer's son used to also take up farming. Today he's not. So they have to see a business sense in that. But farmers must be told again and again, what is not good for them. As Dr. Guru said, what is good for them, unless they are told, they will definitely accept what is good for them, because they are. So soil and water health is most critical, and particularly of the farmers of Punjab, alternate crops, alternate technologies, stubble burning, as Dr. Bhullar said, in situ, ex situ, etc., and a variety of steps. Ultimately, if you are saying other crops, market for other crops. So I think it has to be a total basket of solution that has to be present to the farmers, not an individual recommendations. It has to be, best use of the input management, water, pesticides, fertilizer, etc., organic, and etc. It has to be a basket of solutions which are to projected them. I think the farmers, I have no doubt why they will not accept it, and the states will not go on the path of sustainable agriculture.
Right.
I'm very sure about it. The farmers will definitely adopt method that will be sustainable for them for the future.
On behalf of each one of us, I must salute what I call Annadata from Kalahandi to Kapurthala. Our farmers are toiling very hard and contributing to us living. A big salute to them. I now request my colleague Vigya to please propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. We had a pleasure having you all as our esteemed panelists for today's session of Bureaucrats India webinar series. We all have gained a lot from today's insightful and informative discussions around agriculture in Punjab. Thank you so much. On behalf of Bureaucrats India, I would also like to thank our audience for joining us today on both Zoom and Facebook. A special thanks to our Bureaucrats India team, working both in the front and the back end, for all their wonderful efforts in making this webinar a success. Bureaucrats India will keep bringing you all the stories of good governance and positivity. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you.